the special meeting to order. Go ahead and call roll. Guy McDonald.
Here.
Mona Becker. Peggy O'Donnell.
Here.
Diane Wynn.
Here.
Betty Martine.
Here.
All right, we are all here. The first item for business for council in the special meeting is would be an executive session for non-elected personnel.
Actually, we don't need executive session.
We do not?
No.
Then never mind.
Yep, that's all you're considering is the employment agreement.
Then I'm going to, okay, then for us tonight in our packet is the employment agreement with Jackson Kelly for the position of city attorney.
When you say county session, you can't vote on that, right?
So we're voting for it out here.
Can I
Yeah.
make a motion?
Huh?
I say, can I make a motion to approve the employment agreement with Jacqueline Kelly and authorize the mayor to sign?
First.
We just
is
need
there-
a second, right?
Is there a second?
I'm lost, I don't see that. Employment agreement, I have adjournment, executive session.
Well, we're not.
We're in
Oh,
the
I'm not gonna
special
do an
meeting.
executive session.
Right.
No,
we're
no,
doing that
that
out.
was that was a misspelling. Should have been actions
Look at mine.
and whatever.
I printed it off so I could read
Yeah,
it easy.
the employment agreement was in the packet.
Yeah, so we don't need
So,
an executive
yeah, basically, yeah,
session.
so just.
Yeah, I crossed it
Yeah,
out.
yeah, we're doing this, it's just not in executive.
Okay, second.
Okay, we have a first and a second to approve the employment contract with Jacqueline Kelly to become our city attorney. Are there any questions or comments?
I'll let you know that this was I think I heard comments back from Guy that were included, and Ramona had comments back that were included. So I incorporated those comments. I didn't hear any back from anyone else. The only change that I made from when you all reviewed it was the salary is at
68.4 or something?
Yeah, and that's because we don't have a step at a 68. So, and if we drop down, it would have been like 67.
So it falls in line.
So-
68,419.
Yeah,
Right.
so that way it's at a step.
Okay. Perfect. So we have the first and the second. Any other comments? But I appreciate the clarification, Mr. Lasher. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Okay, 3-1.
2-2.
He
She
voted,
voted no.
he gets to vote in the case.
Oh, you voted against her too?
Right.
Okay, so let the record show that Councilmember Wynn, Councilmember Martine voted nay, Councilmember O'Donnell and McDonald voted aye, and I as well will vote aye. So motion passes 3-2. And we will welcome her. Okay. Anything
Mr.
else to
Maker?
do in the special meeting?
That's it. We go on to the workshop.
Okay, so
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I make a motion, we adjourn this special meeting.
Second?
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay. Out of that, and we are now into workshop.
I think Ramona's coming. I hear the digger.
Yeah. You
Maybe
can do
not.
my stuff.
Can I share with you? Okay.
Yep, good, yep.
I didn't get back home, so I didn't bring my, no, I'll just share with you.
Okay,
I
so I
didn't,
can get you one of the got some extra agendas. I'll just look up for mine.
I'll just share.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're now in the workshop, and I'll go ahead and pass it over to you, Ty.
Let's see, the budget introduction, Ted is on his way. So, if, Ramona?
Sorry to be late.
Bless your heart. You and Betty. Betty got hers off, you put
Yeah.
one on.
You can't believe how much it slows you down to have just one hand.
Betty does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can't
At least
do
it's your
anything.
left hand like it was hers. Aren't
Yeah.
you right-handed?
Yeah, thank goodness.
So, if we could jump to appointments, and then when Ted gets here, we'll go back to finance.
Okay.
So on appointments, Betty had asked about when we were going to do appointments. And typically, we've done them in May, but that was after the April elections. And of course, the elections were changed to November. And so there was a question as to whether the city should stay on the May or stay on, or switch to like a January after the first meeting when the any new council members would take their seat.
You might tell her.
Oh, yes. Well, yeah, let me apologize. Let me back up a minute. So what you have, the big stack of papers here are the comments, written comments from the survey. So everyone had wanted to see the written comments because there was room on there for handwritten comments. And so they sent them over to us in electronic form, and we just printed them out for everybody so you can take them home and read the comments about the different sections.
It'll take a night or two.
Yeah, it'll take a couple. Yeah, it's surprising how it looks like almost everybody had comments because.
What happens, did they take off names?
Yeah,
Names?
yeah, just to keep to keep
Because
it
it said it was
confidential.
confidential. Oh, yeah, I see they crossed off.
Yep, and so, but you can see all the comments that.
It said I signed my name.
And then the other thing is the keys that you have, those are keys to City Hall, so those will get you, that key will get you into any outside door. So like if you want to get into the senior room, the community room, there's 2 outsides, you can get them there. The doors to come in, you can get in there. The hex key is so that you can lock the doors open.
Right.
So if you've got, if there's something going on, like what I do after the council meeting, I unlock them, but you just push it in and you lock it, and that'll keep the doors open.
Is a hex key hole in the lock something?
Yes, on all that doors, yeah.
In the bar.
So that way, everybody's now has a key to get in, and if you have an old one, it's no good
I
because
have old
these
ones.
were
I actually
rekeyed.
know where they're at. I found them.
Okay, these were rekeyed probably in the last year, I think. So these are the correct keys.
Now,
with
are we going to
alarm?
have a box inside like we had talked about, so if something happens like it did the night?
No, we talked about that, but we didn't want anybody to like break it off or something. And so that key will actually get you into all the rooms.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So if you want to get in the senior room, you can, the community room, the outside doors.
6 of us,
Main
surely they
office.
can get us.
The main office?
The main office, we have a keypad. So if you need to get
Oh,
into the main office, we can give you
I don't think we
the number, the
need to
key
get in
number to
now.
get in there.
I was just curious, I have no reason to go there, but I
Yeah,
just,
yeah.
you said all the offices.
We don't want in there.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
could get in trouble.
But that'll get you into anywhere, like I said, the community room, the senior room, just use the outside door, and then the doors to the entryways, get you in there. So that way we don't have a problem like we did before with the council member here and everybody looking at you like, where's the keys?
Yeah, right.
So you have a key now.
I like the keychain.
Yeah.
I do too.
Without, that way you could keep it separate
Very
from your
cool.
other ones.
Right, it's unique.
Very cool.
So, okay, so back to the appointments. So I contacted the league because I knew that their attorneys had probably dealt with this with other cities since we don't have a city attorney. And so we kind of talked through it. And Charter Ordinance 14, which created the city manager position and outlines the mayor and the city manager's job duties and such, it talks about, Section 3, it talks about appointments. And it says all appointments shall be voted on in May of each year. So that's what our charter ordinance talks about. Also, the state statute that deals with appointments did not change. So the state statute also states that appointments are done in May. However, some cities have adopted ordinances to move appointments to January. So at that point, it's really a policy decision for you guys to decide which day you like. Like I said, our ordinance and the state statute says May, and we can continue that if you're comfortable with that. If you think it ought to be after the elections in January, we can put together an ordinance and move it to January.
Well, I think right now, since it's already that way and we don't have an attorney, we should just leave it for a year or two. And then if the new council, whoever gets on down the road wants to, and that seems like a lot of work right now when we could just reappoint, unless you guys want to do all that work.
I feel the same way, just leave it in May.
Me
But
too.
I would like to get the contracts 2 months early
It's a good idea.
because Ty was up the 31st of March, sometime in March. Here it is in May.
He got hired in July.
his contract is up in March. That's why we got it.
That's weird. Wonder why. 'Cause she came on in July.
Yeah, it usually goes from appointment to appointment.
Right.
But it continually rolls, so.
Well, you gave it to us and we haven't done anything with it,
Yeah.
the contract.
Are you talking my evaluation?
Your evaluation.
Oh, evaluation, yeah,
Oh.
yeah.
I'm sorry.
So,
No.
yeah.
That we turned into.
Yeah, those
him.
were done.
Those were due.
Yeah, but we've not done anything with it.
Yeah,
Are
he
we
already
gonna give
met.
him
But
a raise? Are
you-
we gonna just have him carry on?
I thought
What?
he got a raise
Yeah.
with everyone.
Yeah, you and I met and went over all those numbers, and since
Right.
he passed, yeah, he gets
Got
the
his-
next step increase.
Yeah, as long as, the way we treat
It was
me is
automatic.
just like all the other employees, is that if you get a satisfactory rating, then you get a step increase.
Oh, okay.
Now, if you want to do more than that, you have.
See, I thought we should discuss it, but
Yeah.
I guess if it's already done, it's done.
Yeah. So,
But I would rather leave him in May.
okay,
And my reasoning for that is, if we have a whole new council seat in January, they have nobody to fall back on for,
Yeah.
and then the first year, they can change what they want to
Agreed.
change.
And it's
Yeah,
like-
because every election you could have 3 or 2
You
new
could
people.
have, well, you could have potential everybody but Betty this time.
Well, this
Like
time, yeah, but-
Every single, you're the only one not up. That could be crazy for our staff.
Maybe I will retire.
Well, I didn't say it would be, but I said potentially.
Yeah, it could be.
And so I think so could we put it on our next?
well, what we can do is, if
Agenda?
everybody's comfortable leaving it in May, then I'll just, because we're gonna need to do the appointment of the city attorney anyway, and then I can put my appointment on there, and we're still in May, because it doesn't say which meeting in May, it just says
Right.
May. And then we can just, now the judge was just approved in January, so we'll wait, pick him up in May of next year with everybody else, because those are the 3 that are appointed, so. You know, I'm not a policymaker, but I would agree that the state statute says May,
I
our
agree.
charter says May. You know, do you really need to do an
No
ordinance
problem
and
with that.
change it?
No problem.
I'd leave
So-
it.
I agree.
But do we need to get something about appointments 2 months early? I mean, like the jobs they've done or
Oh, like evaluations?
evaluation or something?
Yeah, because that will be, like mine is typically done in March.
See,
1st
that's
of
what I was
March.
talking about.
Yeah, and so
And we
that's
gave it to you
March,
guys.
April,
Yeah.
that way it's.
But if we had it
before
2 months
May.
early, Peggy, everybody could get it in before, because I think the mayor was waiting on some that weren't turned in.
Yeah, I think we got all but one.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I can do
Oh.
that.
Mine?
I'm not sure whose it was.
I gave mine
Yeah,
to Ty.
yeah,
I mean, so you should have had it, yeah, Ty
Yeah.
would show it to you.
Yeah, they're all supposed to come in here.
But I would still like to have those 2 months early to get their feeling of what they would like to change, or, their accomplishments and stuff like that. So that would give us, if we do it in May, and they give them those 3, because isn't it 3 when we have? 2 months early, then the council would have time to sort through them.
Yep, that would be, so the 1st of March, we can get evaluations out and you can.
I think
go
that we
over those.
did though, because they were due March 30th. I think you sent it to us.
Well, he did.
Yeah, I don't
Oh,
know.
But
okay,
it
that's what I was gonna say. I think
took
we
some
did.
people longer than the 30 days to get their evaluation in.
So you're
'cause
saying do
I
it in
know-
January?
Yes, because
So
I
she's
was
saying-
waiting on the mayor and asking him all the time, when are we gonna
See,
go
she's
through
saying
those?
January, but see, we
Oh,
do it
okay.
2 months early. We do
Okay.
it in March, but you're saying 4 months before
Well,
the
if,
appointment.
if you're gonna move everybody to May,
I think everybody is in May.
Yeah.
According
it's-
to our ordinance.
That's the way it's been, other
You just
than
need
the
to put a
judge.
shorter time frame on it, because I know.
She wants longer.
I know, no, on getting it back in, once you've got
Yeah,
it.
once you get
because
it.
I forgot about it for a while,
Need to do more nagging.
but then,
Yeah, just madness.
Well, should the evaluation be turned in May then? Or done
Right.
and completed in May at the same time? That way we still get them in March, but we turn them, but we,
Well, that's
Council President
because-
Mayor would present in May?
No, the way you do it now is right, because if you have it due March 30th, then that gives you April to talk to him over the evaluations.
Okay.
And then you can let the council know if they don't pass it, and then we maybe
Right.
don't want to reappoint. If you wait till they're due, it wouldn't work.
Right.
The way it is now is right. We just need to probably be bugged more.
Okay.
I think maybe, don't you think everyone just kind of forgot?
Well, I'm admitting that I did. I laid it aside and, had other fish on my plate and then one day there
So
it
the way we
was.
do it
and
now
I
is
went,
good.
"Oh, I need to
I
do
think
that."
we all need to
Okay.
admit it.
We're tired. We just said it on
Okay.
TV.
And Ted gets demerits because he's late.
That's right, I'm so sorry.
Don't say that, because Ramona was late too.
It's okay,
He doesn't even know what we're talking about, really.
So we're gonna do an appointment, the appointments in May.
Yeah. And I'll
And
put-
we'll get the evaluations 2 months before that,
The way we've been doing it.
with their comments and everything. So, March, so
Okay.
we'll get them in March.
First of all. Okay, and then so in the next agenda, then I'll have mine and Jackie's up for appointments.
Jack?
She goes, her name's Jacqueline,
Oh,
but she
Jack-
likes to be called
okay.
Jackie.
Oh, yeah, that was a new name to me. And I was-
Yeah, okay. Okay, we can jump back. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready to go, sorry.
Okay.
I think we'll realize why I was late here in a few short slides.
Something's wrong. It won't pull it up.
Won't pull it up.
Now we really.
This is why we print them out,
PowerPoint.
Yeah.
positions,
Yeah. it won't open
just in
it, so-
case.
Okay. We can make the presentation available if we need to, or do you want me to go see if we,
Any
you guys want to
addition-
go to the next one and I'll try to get it working on there.
We already went to the next one. Let's go to the third
Go to the
one.
next one.
All right.
Okay, so the next one is water and sewer Wichita agreements. So I wanted to bring you up to date. You remember in December, I had talked about some issues that we needed to deal with Wichita. So there was basically 4 issues that we were needed to have some kind of resolution on. The big one was Bel Aire owns a sewer line that runs from our lift station at 37th and Harding down to, I think it's 29th Street. And it's been there since 1991. The city paid and put that in. And then there was another water or sewer main that went from 45th and Woodlawn, kind of behind Dillon's, and it didn't go straight down Woodlawn, kind of cut across in a few places over to Oliver. And that was done in the 70s when there was an improvement district. And then when the new main went in on Oliver, then Bel Aire shut that down and we don't use it at all. So all of our, and the majority of our sewer goes to that lift station at 45th and Harding. And then from there, it's pumped over to CCUA. And then we also have a main that goes down 53rd Street. So like this area goes to the main on 53rd and over. And everybody else that basically lives south of Central Park kind of drains to the south and the west over to the Harding one. When CCUA came on board, we put the mains in and we pumped to CCUA along 45th Street and over. But we still have that main that's in there, and we use it maybe once or twice a year for overflow. So in other words, if the main goes down, well, we used it a couple months ago, we had the generator go down. If you've watched on your appropriations, we've got some generator bills in there because a generator went down. They had to overflow when they were fixing that to Wichita. So we'll use it once in a while to overflow. And
Where's it go to when it overflows?
it goes to Wichita
Wichita.
for them to treat. But Wichita has since grown north up to 45th, and they have actually businesses that are along there that hooked into our line. So that was an issue that we needed to decide who was going to maintain it, who was going to own it. all that kind of stuff. And then the old line that's no longer used that goes from Rock and 45th, or I'm sorry, 37th over. Then the other two issues that I had concerns about that I brought up to them is in our agreement that we signed, our Wichita Water Agreement in 2007, was that we had basically a take or pay. And we had an issue with, we also have a take or pay with CCUA. So there were a few years when it was wet and we had two take or pays and we had to end up paying someone to meet that take or pay. We couldn't use enough. And so that was one thing that I was wanting to do, was get down that number required of take or pay. And so I wanted to open up that agreement and look at that. And then the last thing is that we have, we've sold the corner there at 45th and Rock, possibly to put in a strip mall there. And we don't have sewer that goes that far. Our sewer stops on Rock Road at Elk Creek, roughly, in there. And then it goes around, and then it picks back up on 45th where Elk Creek, there's two entrances, basically. And because of the fall, we would have to pump from that corner to get it back up to our lift station. So there's a cost involved to develop that area, is put in a lift station for that 7 acres there. And put in the mains to get it back up to us. Wichita, on the south side of 45th, has both water and sewer there. So my thought was, if they already have it there, just to save the cost to the developer of running new mains for water and sewer from us, that maybe they would just go ahead and serve that. And so that was another question I posed to them. I also questioned with the Wichita Water Agreement that we have a service area, which is basically our city limits. That's what we can serve in. And if we want to serve outside of that city limits, we have to get their approval. And of course, that was an issue years ago when Bel Aire was wanting to grow, and there were Wichita said that you couldn't expand outside your district, your boundaries and things, and that's kind of an issue with the land and how we got to where we're at. And so I proposed every couple of years the Wichita Area Metropolitan Planning Organization creates a master growth map. And so they look at all the different cities and then they highlight where you're going to grow, where the natural growth for you would be. And that's kind of helps those cities don't annex areas where another city had planned to annex and things, so everybody kind of reviews that. And so I threw out the idea of why don't we just tie our service area to that growth map? And that way, if for some reason we would want to grow outside of our city limits on our map, then we could serve it, and they agreed to that. So that was another issue. And then the last issue that we have is we have a water main, and those of you going to CCUA know about it, that runs along 45th Street over to CCUA. And then we also have one that comes down 53rd Street. The one on 45th, we really don't use, but there are some customers on that line. And really all of our water comes in 53rd Street, or we get water from Wichita that comes up along Woodlawn. There at our shop, there's a valve that we can turn water on to Wichita. So we really don't need the 45th line. We were just maintaining it because there's, 8 or 10 customers on there. But with the 45th and, was it Hillside, where Wichita is going to rebuild the intersection, we've got that line that runs through there, and it's going to be our cost to move it. And so whether than us,
We have to move it out of
Yes.
that intersection because they're working on it?
Yeah.
So what do? Go up to the north?
No, we just tell them they can do it.
yeah, we don't need the line, and so we don't want to pay to move it because we don't need it. And so that was my last issue, was why don't you take over that line? What if we just give you the line and you take it over? The few that it serves along there are not Bel Aire residents. We don't need the line. We talked about just shutting it down, but then we can't leave citizens without water. So so I met with Bob Layton, and in your packet were the memos that my talking points with him. And so that was on 12/15, so you'll see that, a week ago, I got a response from them, and kind of what their thoughts were. As far as the sewer main that runs from 37th down to 29th, they proposed that they would take that over. I proposed that they buy it from us. They said that there's, you could read through it, that there's maintenance and stuff that has to be done on it.
So they'll get it for free?
Yeah. But they originally, when we were talking to them, I said that we do want to maintain that overflow because EPA came to us, and on that specific 37th Street, when we were looking at, again, this was a CCUA deal, when we were looking at expansion of the sewer treatment, they were saying, Bel Aire, you have to have some type of overflow, because if the line goes down, where's your sewer going to go? And we said, well, we have an overflow to Wichita, and they were okay with that. So we kind of need to maintain that. What their proposal to maintain it was that we would pay them, and I don't remember the exact amount, but it was $10,000 a year or something like that to have that ability. And then we would have to pay for whatever sewage went there and put a meter in there. And so one of my proposals was that for perpetuity, you just let us use that line with no annual fee, and then we'll pay you for whatever sewer goes in there. And they agreed to that. They said that, okay, well, you don't have to pay an annual fee just to have it.
So we'd have to pay to put a meter in,
Yeah.
and it would just be used when we have.
Yeah, so if we sent 100,000 one year, we'd pay for that. If we sent $1 million one year, we'd pay for that.
And if we send zero?
Yeah, then we pay zero. As far as the Woodlawn sewer main, they had mentioned that, we should have just abandoned that. It's, no one's using it, we're not using it, they don't need it. Or we could maintain it for right-of-way and easement. We just have to maintain a permit. And so that's something that we'll have to talk through. What I wanted to do is just present it to you to give you the ability to start thinking about it. We want to have some time too. Ted and I want to review some of the costs and the benefits associated with what they're proposing, and need to visit with Ann on is there any need for that right-of-way. But I wanted to give you an update on kind of what I proposed, what they came back with, because you're going to have to consider this at some point.
What would the right-of-way and the easement give us if we decided to go that route?
And that's what we want to talk about, is there benefit to us?
And right now, we don't know.
Yes, because we're not using it. Would there ever be a need to have it? I don't know. That's what I'd like to visit with.
And where does it comes from Bel Aire, goes around Dillon's, you say, and back of Dillon's?
Yeah, it's not, because it's not a straight line that goes down Woodlawn. Somehow it cuts across behind Dillon's and kind of
Didn't it
wiggles
go down
around.
Oliver?
Well, there's one that goes down Oliver, and then there was an older one that was at Woodlawn and 45th. And it kind of
37th.
Yeah, 37th, I'm sorry. And kind of meanders back through there, so I don't know if there would be a...
But the one we're talking about that goes behind Dillon does connect with Oliver and to the city of Wichita?
Down the road, but it's not being used, so it's closed there.
Yeah, I
It's
understand
closed.
that, but
Yeah,
I'm trying to see what,
But the
They're
ones
not.
on Oliver are being used, correct?
yes, the one on
Because I
Oliver
remember we
is-
gave Great Plains permission to hook
Right.
into the sewer.
Right.
But then when they started building all those houses that are going south, Wichita, I thought, started hooking in on that sewer line, and they didn't tell us.
Yeah.
if we abandon that line that goes in back of Dillon's, do we have to dig it up?
Well, and that's the call, that's what I want to find out, is,
Okay.
when they say abandon it, does that mean just say we're done with it, or does that mean we have to fill it in with sand, or what? That's what I want to know.
There's those businesses on the south, that church and all that, those two churches and stuff, because doesn't it go like around? Didn't it, the picture I saw, because that was a thing that we were thinking we might not want to just get rid of it.
Yeah, I
On
don't
the
know.
south, where are you talking about,
It's,
Katie?
On the, from Dillon's, doesn't it come?
South side of 37?
Yeah, it's on the south side, right?
Those are bored under the road. Both of those churches bored under the road, from the way I remember it. and
So does
hooked
the sewer
into.
go behind them?
No, it goes.
Under it, right?
It goes on the,
Other side of the street?
north of, off of this 37th.
Oh, it's north of it, okay,
It goes, because they bored under the road,
okay.
but we don't service them.
Right, I know we don't service them.
We
I was
did Town
thinking
and Country for a long time.
Right.
But I think they went to Wichita
'Cause I-
too.
Okay.
So yeah, that's what we want to know. Is there a
Yeah,
cost
so
to
we have
that?
to find- yeah, right.
You know, that kind of stuff. Or if we just maintain it and, pay a permit fee, what's that? That's something I want to find out.
But that's what we're doing right now, is just, right? We're just maintaining.
Well, actually, we're not doing anything because it's closed. We closed it
Well,
off.
I know, but I mean, like,
Closed
it's
it
just
off.
doing nothing right now, so
Sitting
like,
there.
we could just
How
keep
long have
doing
you been
that.
doing that?
Oh,
For years.
10,
Back in the 80s.
Yeah.
late
20
80s.
years probably. Yeah.
CCUA, I don't think has ever used it.
They never hooked up to
Yeah,
it.
They
don't
never
use
hooked up
all.
to it, it's just there.
I think it was there before the Oliver line went in. Then when the Oliver line went in, I think they probably shut it down.
Because they went down Oliver to the south when we first started doing Wichita Water.
Okay.
So, so that on those two issues, that's where they came back at. As far as the reducing the water take or pay, they came back at kind of in the middle.
saw that.
You can see our existing, and then I proposed a different amount, and then they wanted us to buy a little bit more for it from them.
Of course they do.
But again, we need to see how these numbers fit into what our projections are and our use from CCUA, because again, we got to take or pay, so we're going to have to look at those. But so far, everything's been pretty positive. They did say that they would be willing to serve the 45th corner there, as long
Which is
as we could
huge.
include them in the service area. They also agreed that our service area would not be our city limits, but the growth map that MAPD does. So that was positive. So overall, I think I was pretty happy with a lot of the things. But there are some questions that I have that I want to spend some time with Ann and Ted to look at the financial impact of it and if there's any reason why we want to keep anything or not keep anything.
So they agreed to take care of 45th and Rock, that 6 acres, 6 to whatever the acreage
Yes.
is, for that strip mall, possible strip mall.
Right.
And what does that do for Bel Aire? Is there any cost involved for
No,
us?
there's no
at all?
cost. And, you could say that we could lose a potential customer, and we could. But the other side of it that concerns me is that if they have to pay, because, we always charge those, the new water and sewer mains as special assessments, if that business had to pay, and they'd be the only ones using it, to get a main and a lift station in there, that could prohibit them from building, or say, it's too expensive to build here because of those costs.
And it'd take years for that one customer to really make it worthwhile.
Yep.
For us to even have that customer.
And then you look at, usually strip malls are not big water sewer users. They have a couple restrooms is about it, so it's not like we're gonna give up a huge amount of revenue because it's someone that uses 100,000 gallons a month. They're about like a house, because that's all they have is a couple restrooms, a sink, and things like that, so.
And that's just a hair salon.
A house
Yeah.
with 4 bathrooms.
Yeah. So, so again, I was just thinking, as far as the growth side of it, we don't want to get it to the point where it's too expensive for them to develop that because they have to pay to get the water and sewer there.
I think that makes sense.
Or we would have to pay,
Yeah.
the city at large would have to pay.
Great
And,
to them.
if Wichita has everything there, they would just bore under the street with their sewer and water and take care of
And
it.
my concern was it doesn't give Wichita any additional rights. All it does is give them the right to drill, to put in a water main and a sewer line, and then collect the revenues from that, from the people that use it. And that's it, period. There's
Yep.
no other.
Nope.
Gives them
That's-
another customer.
Yeah, and it's still, still in Bel Aire, so we get all the taxes off of it. They follow our zoning and everything else. It's just, yeah, a customer.
I mean, they already have all that at Sawmill Creek right across the
Right.
way.
Yep, yep. So, so if you're reading it, if you have any questions, feel free to call me, stop by, email me or whatever, and we can talk about it. But I just wanted, it's been a while since, and I know I've talked to you about in emails and stuff what I was doing, so finally got a reply. I wanted to bring you up to date on where we're at. And like I said, we're going to spend a little time, and is looking at the infrastructure piece of it, and Ted and I want to look at, okay, reducing the certain amount of take or pay, how does that affect our finances? So.
And your relationship with Layton is good, you
It's been
said.
good, yeah. Well, like I said, we tried to do this before Bob was here, and the city manager at that time wasn't.
Yes,
willing to do
I
anything.
remember.
So,
Yes.
He's a good guy. Layton's a good guy.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
he is.
Did you ask him what took him 6 months?
No.
Well, at
Wow,
least they're
that's
moving
fine.
in the right direction, even though they didn't come
Yeah,
down to where
yeah.
we asked, but they're moving in the
Mhm.
right
Exactly.
direction.
That's
And
what
it's an
I.
improvement.
Exactly.
This is
that's
a
what I
big
was-
improvement, actually, so.
Yeah.
And they have to think about them too. They've got a big water hike.
What happens to our water hike when they pass it on to us? Do we have enough money to pay it?
Yeah, that's something that we'll have to look at, what that rate is and stuff like that. I think Ted actually added one in, so.
Yeah,
for
the
next
good
year.
part is my predecessor and myself, we tend to over budget Wichita Water just because you never know what's going to happen in history, experience.
Because I think
but-
they raise every year.
Yeah, and it's, I have the information downstairs. We're not going to talk water tonight, but, and it's sporadic. It'll go 10 and then 2 and then.
What did they say,
it's-
4.9 this year? That they were
Yeah,
raising?
something around there.
4.5 or
It's been
9?
larger in the past, but it's still not cheap.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you get yours?
I'm waiting phone calls
Yep,
on
yep,
that.
we're
Okay.
good to go if you guys.
Okay, yeah.
So what I have tonight, I'm here a month early. Usually we start our first budget workshop in June, but I got to thinking, and the other day, and I kind of realized that most citizens, if they want to know something about our budget, they go online, click it, and it's 195 pages. And my profession, the finance guys, we get GFOA awards for our budget and everything, but that's what they want to see, all the numbers, everything spread out. My budgets are, they're 500 lines long, and I have percentages and average rate or growth rates on the line, but to try to explain that to a citizen, it's very hard, very difficult, and what ends up happening is they just walk out or don't care anymore. So this is my good attempt to kind of bring it to a 30,000 foot view. Let's look and see where our money's going, where our taxpayers, what they're spending. And then and I'm presenting this to you because this is kind of a good starting point, because next month I'm going to give you guys all the 500 line packet that you guys really like to get into, and we'll go line by line. We'll look at it intensely, but tonight I really just want to take a step back and see where the city is, and kind of give this more towards the citizens, whoever's listening that has an opinion. They can come to you and discuss it. So the first thing we always do in budgets is goals. The reason we do goals is because if you don't have a goal, you're just spinning around in a circle, just funding what you have been in the past. So mostly our goals, and this is mainly just my interpretation of what I feel in the council, would definitely change it. Some are older goals that we've had in the past, like hold the mill levy to a current level, continue to look for ways to cut costs and reorganize to effectively deliver services, sustain financial stability, and then find ways to increase for street improvements that will preserve and enhance property values. Sorry, Ty. So those are goals. Goals kind of give direction, as I said in the beginning. The next page is kind of our budget process calendar. Tonight we're doing an overview and priorities. This was going to be changing. The time on this calendar is wrong.
You can come at 7.
Next week, next month, we're going to do budget frame and frame budget for considerations. Like I said, go line by line, whatever we need to do. Budget Workshop 3 in July. We'll be kind of create our final budget, get ready for publication. July 18th at the council meeting, we'll approve the budget, set a public hearing. We need to publish, allow 10 days, and then we do a public hearing on August the 1st. We can talk about what the citizens bring forward. Last year, I believe we just adopted it on the same day, but if we want to wait some more, we have the room and the ability to do it. On August 8th, we can work on a workshop, and then August 15th is kind of we must adopt the budget by then, so I can turn it in by August 20th. So now we'll flip one more, and this is kind of where a lot of information can be gathered from our budgets. We're anticipating to be our ending balance in 2017 to be about a little over $1.5 million, which is 30% of our revenues. That's basically that's what the Bel Aire fiscal policy targets. That's kind of on the high end. GFOAs, that's right where you need to be. The reason we want 30% ending balance and more or less a savings fund, or if you're a household, that 4 to 6 month savings account you have, is because S&P, that's the first thing they want to see is for our bond rating, is to say, does this city, are they able to weather a storm, and do they live within their means? And as you can tell, 2015 we had a kind of a big year, and we had a lot in reserves. And what we did is we gradually moved that down to 30% where it needs to be, and that's really how you're supposed to, pay for cash for a lot of projects. Like we're doing a lot of street projects. The reason you build up a reserve, you spend the reserve. You build the reserve, you spend the reserve. So that's kind of where we're at right now at the end of 2017. And I'm very conservative with that number, that 30% number. That's the number I'm sure we're going to hit. We might be a lot more at the end of the year, but again, I'm not a fortune teller. I can't tell what we're going to do. The next page, we'll talk a little bit about property taxes. This is a no mill levy increased property tax, and when they talk about assessed valuation growth, the city the last 2 years have been over 7%. And really what that means is you took a lot worth $5,000 and you made it $150,000. So the city gets a little more revenue because we're improving lots and improving houses. And what I did for 2018 is put in the 7% increase, which is about $167,000. And so that gives us the 2018 ad valorem tax of about $2.5 million.
I didn't understand what you said. You said you have a lot that's worth $5,000, and then you do something and it's worth $150,000.
Build a house on it.
Oh, to build a house.
Aren't our houses, most of the new ones, more than?
Well, yeah, and that's the average is at 150. We like to say, and the 2.5 is about 46% of revenues. For instance, let's take a two-person family. That's one person's salary is what property tax is to the city. That's what that means. Next, we'll go to the tax lid. It's a good time to talk about the tax lid after you talk about property taxing or property taxes, because basically I was just trying to show you what the tax lid originally did was you can't grow more than the CPI adjustment, which for 2018 is 1.3% or $33,000. But the legislature said, all right, there's exemptions. We understand cities that they're already, like our PBC debt, it grows a little over time. We need to allow them to able to pay for that growth. So this year, our debt increased about $145,000. Another thing the legislature said is any increase in police budget, you can increase your lid pretty much. And that was about $88,000 proposed. So if you take the two numbers, a 7% increase is about $167,000. And the computed limit is about $267. We're still under the lid.
Let me clarify something.
Yep.
We're talking these percentages and numbers.
Sure.
And a lot of people,
sure,
they'll just go over, and they go over me too. But this 7% increase is referring to the annual increase of house building in Bel Aire. It's not 7% of valuation created by the state or the Fed or anybody else. So the 7% is 7% increase in building over this past year, and it's going to continue to be estimated as such to the best of
Sure.
anybody's ability to predict.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
I just wanted to.
Yep, and that's where you see a lot of the growing cities a little upset with the tax lid, is they're really just growing, building houses, and if you put a lid at 1.3%, that's basically the argument in a nutshell. But we have a lot of the exemptions. We can stay under the lid with the 7%.
May I ask?
Sure.
Does that include increased evaluations of present homes?
It does. So if you improve your home, if you build a new kitchen or something, that's all captured inside.
Because everybody I've talked to, their evaluations have increased,
Mhm.
and ours increased, and we didn't make any improvements on our house last year, and it went up quite a bit.
Yeah, the market's getting a little better as well, or gradually growing. So.
But you can always call if you think it's wrong.
Mhm.
Go appeal.
Well, everybody
appeal.
would be calling, because everybody I've talked to,
Mine went down,
really.
yeah.
So I wrote this down. We can go.
Appeal it.
Yeah.
I'm just helping, I'm sorry.
In any one year, maybe we don't have the exemptions, or if we want to raise more income as far as the tax lid, what we'd have to do is notify the county election official by July 1st. You'd have to create two different budgets, one that stays under the lid, one that goes over the lid, and on September 15th, they'd have a mail ballot election, certify the results on September 20th. If it passes, you submit your raised income budget. If it fails, you submit your other one. But we don't have to just really discuss that this year due to different, we're able to stay under the lid with any kind of increase that I anticipate. Okay, that's the hardest thing we had to talk about all night. So sales tax. Sales tax, I kind of took the average annual growth rate last 5 years, which is 4.6%. And just put 3%, projecting that we're going to get 3% increase in sales tax over 2017. Sales tax accounts for about 1.1 million, and we get our sales tax, as you know, from the county. It's based on a formula that comes back to us. So if you buy anything in Wichita, you're somewhat supporting Bel Aire as well for the sales tax. The next revenue lines I kind of put all together is city-generated revenues. These are your franchise fees, your fines, permits, licenses, recreation fees, grants, and kind of miscellaneous reimbursements. The way you usually do these is any kind of miscellaneous revenue, you don't even put anything in there because those aren't a sure thing, and you look at historical norms to come up with numbers. And I projected as conservative about $1.3 million on city-generated revenues. So if you really look at all our revenues, you'll see property taxes are 46%. Everything else is about 54%. So that's really if you're at home wanting to imagine something, it's really two home income earners. That's both their incomes right there. So that leaves us with about $5.5 million to spend.
I find it, I want to say fascinating, but that's probably not the best word. The city-generated revenues are 24% at $1,000,003. We have a city of $7,000. It just never occurred to me that there would be that many fines and fees and permits in a population of 7,000 people to generate that kind of money. Apparently there are, but I find it surprising, that's a better word.
Historically, a large amount, so there's all contractors' license, different things like that. Those are pretty small.
What, $50 or?
Yeah, they're very small. When we get our largest ones are the franchise fees.
And they amount to,
I can look at
a franchise fee for
Sure.
what, for example?
So electric franchise fees, cable television is a good one.
So okay.
we allow Cox or whoever to be in our city, so
And they have to pay us for that privilege.
Well, we
Gotcha.
pay it.
Yeah,
every
on
month
your bill
our
every
cost.
month you pay it.
Anyway.
But still, it generates that much money. That's
It's a lot.
That's what I
It's like
couldn't.
$7
That's what
a
I
month,
found
I think.
difficult to comprehend.
Franchise fee is about 600,000.
All right,
Oh, yeah,
that's
because every Cox customer
That makes
pays like
sense.
$7 a month. Hey, I have a question.
Sure.
If, your sales tax that we're gonna pull over is 1.1845, and your other taxes, what is your other taxes in this number?
Sure. Other taxes are, so
Like from Amazon?
motor vehicle tax goes into that.
Oh, I would have thought that would have been on city generated. Okay.
No, yeah,
So
those are
you're-
actually a tax. Watercraft tax, if you have a boat or whatnot, that's not very much.
Okay, so you're, okay. 'Cause I would-
Pilot fees are pretty big. We have a lot of IRBs that pilot fees are kicking in.
When everybody that orders online, I just thought, I couldn't imagine it was 500,000 more.
And, yeah, and delinquent taxes as well, I didn't include
But
in
that
the
would be under
tax.
property taxes,
Yeah,
wouldn't it?
I didn't include them in the property tax
Okay.
line for this
Okay,
purposes.
because I would have put the property and
Yeah.
the.
They're lined out in our budget
Together. Okay,
differently.
okay.
Yeah. Because when you're predicting
Sure.
back
Yeah.
taxes, you don't want to do it the same as your
Right.
regular taxes, because that's a sure kind of method.
Okay.
So basically where we're at right now after reviewing the revenues is we have our emergency fund already set in place by ending 2017 with 30%. So really this is our budget, our starting point to our budget is finding our revenues, and now we go from here. As you know, debt payments, the next page, kind of is our number one contributor to our expenses, and I attribute it to a young couple that bought a big house, and we have a lot of room for sale, but it's it's proven to be an investment for the city. So, but that's about $1 million in land debt payment. The other thing I want to draw your attention to is the $100,000, and this is for the 2014 street projects, 45th, Gunderson, and Edgemore, I believe. That'll be bonded this year, so we need to transfer that $100,000 to pay for that bond starting in 2018. It's about $1.1 million in investment. We conservatively estimated about $100,000 for debt service. It might be lower, it might be higher, but until we actually bond, we won't know our rates and everything else.
You said 45th Street. What area of 45th Street?
What was it, Ty? Do you
That was 45th from the half-mile line to Webb, the concrete that we did. That was Edgemore.
Okay, all right. Okay.
Was Gunnison, that was included in there, so
Okay.
there's, yeah,
Yeah.
that came to about $1 million.
I asked Ann about this, just anticipating a question or two, and she said, remind them that 45th got a national award for for production.
Yes.
So now I can report back good. So when you add it all up, debt payment's about $2.2 million, or 41% of available revenue. And as you see on the bottom line, I kind of spelled out pretty clearly, revenues minus debt payments equals, that's what we have the amount remaining, about 49% of what's left.
How
So-
long do we have to pay on Tierra Verde?
Well, if they don't pay, it'll go to a tax sale in 3
Next year?
years.
Oh, I thought it was.
How many years?
3 years they don't have to pay. And I think we spread them last year, so it's probably gonna be
And
1 or 2 more years.
There'll be another small spread in 2018 too.
Is anything happening on that?
There's interest in the building itself, but that's not a very large piece of the debt. And the investors are all struggling, kind of fighting each other, and it's making it difficult for anybody to buy anything over there because they're struggling amongst themselves, is what I understand.
Where's
talking
that
about Tierra
woman
Verde.
now?
I don't know
Okay.
where she's at. I heard he's in Junction City.
Who's he?
Her partner.
Her partner, the guy,
Oh,
Paul Kavanaugh.
yeah, Kevin.
Paul. Well, that one passed away, and we had to give that money back.
Dr. Watson.
Watson.
He had cancer.
Okay, we can go to the second page. Or the 10th page.
Thank
And this
you
is-
for remembering these.
Yeah, I'll never forget that. That's the first rookie mistake. All your packets are numbered, everything's numbered.
Can we go back for just?
Sure,
You're
sure.
such a- How does that compare to last year?
Uh,
Or the total number?
Last year, well, I'll tell you one thing, I'll have a lot of those numbers spelled out when we go over line by line, but land debt it went down because we're prepaying. The one thing that did go up was the street projects. Everything else, Terra Verde went up a little bit because, like I said, we're spreading some small specials in 2018. And then everything else is pretty standard geo bond debt that it fluctuates 10,000 here and there, just however the amortization schedule turns out. So there you go. Yep. Personnel costs is our second major category. The general fund supports 28 full-time positions. As you know, utilities support others, but we're talking general fund tonight. 28 full-time positions, 5 part-time, 2 seasonal, anywhere between 7 and 9 pool employees, 5 council members, and 1 mayor. Sorry, I left you off, Mayor. I want to love again. Budget assumptions I made for 2018, I kept it pretty base budget for you guys, 0 added positions. I did do the 2.5% merit increase if our employees earn it. The health insurance cost is a really hard one to really budget for. I did a 5% because that's really what we're being told right now. It might be more, it might be less. Last year it was all over the place, but really 5% is what I'm saying, and we can discuss that later. Caper's employer contribution is actually decreasing in 2018 from 8.46 to 8.39. It's actually going back up to 9.1 in 2019, so I'm not really too sure what they're doing, but that's what it is. When you think of, so this is each personnel cost from each department, totals of just over $2 million, or 37% of our available funds. Once we get done with debt and personnel costs, we have about $1.2 million remaining. To me, for an average person to understand personnel cost, you can't really go apples to apples with the way we operate and a home does, but this is your food, groceries, utilities. The city can't operate without its employees, but that's that.
Sure. On page 9, it says City Hall debt payment. Then on page 10, we go through the administration, planning and zoning, et cetera. So the City Hall debt is not just the building, the cost of the building. It's the cost of the building as well as the maintenance of the building, as well as the personnel that we employ and the maintenance of the, is that
No,
correct?
the City Hall debt is the cost of the building.
The building itself
Yep.
only?
Yep.
Only, okay.
What we do is the non-departmental line. Department is used for various things, but mainly the maintenance and upkeep of this building and all in our buildings. Mainly this building.
Okay. Has this building been paid off from the original cost? We're still paying it off. When does the original cost pay off? I understand maintenance is a separate issue.
Sure. Yeah. 2030, I think.
2030?
I had all those numbers, and I'll get those next time. I'm glad you asked, because I'll provide them next time. I kind of deleted them at the last minute just to avoid, when we talk about when does it end, our land debt payment, because we're paying early, it started at 2037 something. Now it's at 2034. We're looking to go to 2032. Sure. So I hate to publish anything with an absolute stop date.
I think when, I could be wrong, but the thing down there, the plaque says it was dedicated May of '01. And I thought it's
204.
04?
This building?
I thought it says 01 down there.
If it does, it's wrong, because we moved here in 2004.
Okay. I thought it said 01 on the sign, and I thought that when I came to some of those first meetings, they said it was a 30-year loan, which would make it 2031. So that's what I was saying,
Yeah,
right
yeah,
around
I
what
think
you're
it's
saying.
right around there.
When I leave tonight, I'm gonna look. I thought it said May of 1. Do you know? You come in every day? No?
Yeah, I come in
You
the
come in the
door.
door. I put you on the spot.
Yeah, because I remember I moved over here May
Okay,
5th of 2004. And
Okay.
I was the last one at the old building.
okay. So maybe it was a 25-year loan.
Okay, we can go to contractuals. Oh boy, that didn't go off very well. Contractuals, do very good on the, okay. So these expenses, contractuals is our liability insurance, utilities for public buildings, home incentive grant, big one, engineering service, phones, internet, mobile devices, copier leases, legal services such as our judge and our prosecutor, inmate housing fees, mowing service, janitorial service, recreation instructors, auditing services, financial software, digital ticketing software, body camera storage, and IT storage, or our support, sorry. A lot of different expenses in these, and as you know, this is one of our more difficult lines to get through in the budget process, but that's very good because this is where we strive for better rates and everything else we can. This line costs us just under $600,000, and about 11% of our available funds.
Are we ever going to get rid of those copier leases?
They are not my favorite thing in the world, and I strongly, as a financial director or whatever, the strongest thing I'm going to do is say no more leases, really,
Thank you.
period. I just don't think they're just
The thing
fiscally
is-
smart.
Okay, because studies are showing, because they change all the time. We went from buying at church to doing a lease, and we have saved thousands because they come in, and then every 2 years you get a new one because it changes. Your software, if you buy it, it's not even going to work with your
Sure.
new computer in 2 years.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? And they come out every time it's broke.
And copiers are starting the useful life on them. We'd evaluate the useful life first,
Yes.
plus the
Yeah,
plus
we'll
the
have to do some studies, 'cause
exactly.
You can't even like hook up to our old copier. I could have never done a wireless print from my laptop to my old one at church. There's no way. Now everything's wireless.
Well, one of the points, and I buy those kinds of things
Yeah.
frequently, is, you're absolutely right, but I can spend $100 for a printer now that does what it took at $2,000.
We haven't seen all this
A few years
and-
ago.
I mean,
And,
yeah, well, we
you
can
know,
look
those
at
kinds
the
of things.
buying.
And they're leasing every copier in here is what bugs me, everyone.
Well,
As far as I
maybe
can
we don't
tell.
need to do the one on top of the stairs, but I'm
Well,
just saying
at
the
one time,
downstairs.
yeah, it made sense to lease when we signed the lease, and maybe now it doesn't. So,
Oh,
yeah,
sure.
I applaud you.
And
for
the
looking
only
at that.
the only reason I'm saying that
I
is
just think for-
no, our PD copier is coming up on its lease into this year, and so I get a lot of salesman calls. And one salesman call I took, he's a Bel Aire resident, and we sat down and I said, I think we should probably buy some of these, and he said, "Thank God." So I don't know if there's something in those
Depends how many
leases, and
you
I'm not
do.
exactly, and that might be the and I just fed off his mojo right
And the
there.
municipal court is jail fees, right, Tyson?
Jail fees, yep,
Yeah,
yep,
okay.
jail fees, and the increase in municipal court is before we had our judge wanted to be paid just with a paycheck. And now that we got a new judge, he said, just write us a check to the firm. So that becomes a contractual expense versus a personnel expense. So that's the transfer in that.
Okay.
And on the home incentive grants, we're not doing those anymore, correct?
Right.
Are most of them sort of, I mean, they were kind of a one-time thing or a one-year thing, or how were they structured?
Yeah, it was actually a 5-year.
5 years.
But what you're gonna see is every year it's gonna start going down because we're not doing any more. So because the structure was like 100% the first year and 80 and then 60 or something like that. It was declining. So I know when Ted was doing his forecasting, it will go down every year. And so this is going to be probably either last year or this year was the highest year, and then it'll start declining until it will be gone after about 5 years.
That's why it's community development. That's what that is actually.
What's our line
We're
here?
projected to
What do we get there?
spend around 97,000 in 2018, 30 or 76,000 or 73,000 in 2019, 59 in 2020, 39 in 2021, and that it'll be over in 2021. And all the houses will run out. So all this support docs, I actually did the forecast. It was rather interesting to try to do that, but I'm fairly confident in the numbers.
I'm glad you did.
Me too.
So now we can go to commodities. Next page. Commodity expenses are your fuel. I like to say they give the personnel the tools to do the job. Fuel, maintenance for vehicles, postage, publications, training, safety equipment, construction materials for public grounds upkeep, police and office supplies, marketing, and uniforms.
Well, we can go with the mayor and council budget. We can go to Hawaii, you guys. with that. What
Holy
would that
cow.
be?
I believe the commodity line, I can show you.
Yeah, I don't think that should be that big for us.
Does that include the breeze in there?
Well, then we probably should put publication for,
I'm
so
not
people
sure
don't
that-
think
'cause that was
we're,
like 6,000.
Yeah, because we're not spending anywhere, I mean, we go to LKM, we don't spend anywhere near that. Yeah.
well, that's the one before, your league fee.
That's dues, this is talking for,
Dues, yeah.
this is when we go to the,
Well, I'm saying we could go a
Conference.
long way on
Okay.
Yeah.
airfare.
There's two things I did this year in council, and we can change it back or what. REAP membership for the city was being paid out of non-departmental. It was the only line. You guys have, I believe LKM, we pay out of yours. I just included REAP and LKM in the same line, so that increased 2,500.
But that's on contractual though, right?
No, it's in commodities, professional dues and memberships. So that's your train.
What would be
Training.
contractual then for 67?
Contractual services for liability insurance. You guys pay a little in that because it's based on FTEs, and you have
We need it.
0.5. All your communication services, so all the tablets and internet use or data usage.
Yeah,
And
if we
then,
can just, for the publish it, if we can put like publications and stuff like that, so people aren't thinking that we are spending $13,000. I would not like that if I looked online and said, what are they doing?
Yeah, because people
Sure.
will have no idea what that
Sure.
actually is.
And this is where doing something broad, a lot of people don't do it because it
Right,
because it asks a
because
lot of
they're gonna get-
questions.
so this
but-
not- isn't
so this
going
is not
online?
going. No, no.
Okay.
I just wanted to have a general
Okay,
discussion
as long
about
as
what we
this one isn't
spend.
going out,
No.
that you're spending $13,000.
No,
on
no.
that.
no, this is an internal document.
Yes, yeah.
Well, no, it's online.
Well, yeah, but.
And we can look at that. I can
That's fine. I
find
wrote
it if you
next to
want.
it, so
I
I
have all
remember.
information on it. So.
That's fine.
So after commodities, you have about a little under $300,000 left. Then we go to capital outlay. Capital outlays are expenditures used to acquire, maintain, repair, or upgrade capital assets. In 2017, we utilized this and a grant to appropriate money to improve the Central Park surface, which has just got done, really nice. And for 2018, staff, and this is where I have a meeting with all the staff members, and they'll give me recommendations. I'll put them in, and then we talk about them in this setting. So we can discuss them in depth because I got handouts for them, but this is a general overview of how much they're requesting this year, about $47,500.
You say Central Park surface, what do you mean?
So the Central Park, Central Park's surface is the Central Park, where they did the waste. Playground, sorry.
Great, I
Actually
saw the
doing that
bags,
right
and-
now.
okay.
Central Park, I got you.
Okay, that's what I was saying, well, I didn't see anything on the streets.
I'm sorry.
Okay. No, I just
Central
wanted to
Park.
Most of that was a grant, wasn't it?
Yes, that's what they say,
Yep.
Something.
grant and appropriated money.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, it worked out really well.
Good, have to stop and look at it.
So that's about 47.5, and we'll discuss these. Of course, these aren't set in stone at all. Nothing is today.
Community development is Christmas decorations.
That was one line we added last year just to have some type of funds there. So if the city wanted to buy a new Christmas tree or something like that, we could. You can discuss the amounts. I just kept it the same because no finance director has ever been rehired if you cut the council's budget. So.
As far as I'm concerned, the Christmas decorations can be cut because I am pretty sure that the majority of the council gave them money last year to put decorations on Woodlawn. All we got was flags.
When it comes to Christmas decorations for municipalities, $10,000 does not go far.
Well, they were
which is not-
using it up
that's
here
not the
because they
point.
tried the solar lights, from what I was
I
told,
think,
but they couldn't get the solar lights to work. If the solar lights didn't work, why weren't they sent back? Or somebody checked them or something. Then I find out the other day, and I'm assuming it's over on the west side of the building, they planted the Christmas tree. I don't understand.
well, I think, and I'm not on the community development, I know you were, I think that is for them to do the fall festival and all the things throughout the year, right? That, it said an
No, they
other.
have an events
This
line
is
for
an
those.
extra
This is, yeah.
$10,000.
This
That was
is
one thing last year, and I
They
remember.
didn't have enough, remember? They were gonna need this year to buy those, the whole thing, right?
Well, I don't
We-
get to go to the meetings anymore, so I don't know what's going on.
we didn't have this line in last year.
just
The
gave them
first
10,000?
year, no, last year is 2016. Current year, we do have 10,000.
Okay, yeah.
But
Yeah.
last year we had
Okay, I'm into
zero.
last year.
And, okay,
Yeah,
I'm
last
sorry.
year was a big push to really start the build-up.
So they really
But,
haven't got to
yeah.
buy anything yet.
No, they
Yes,
haven't bought
did. They bought that
the
tree.
Christmas tree.
And they put the solar lights in Central Park.
But they haven't got to do what they
Yeah,
want to do
right.
for Christmas yet, so we got to see what they do this year.
Well, I do agree with what Betty said. I think that most of the people who live in Bel Aire drive down Woodlawn on a regular basis. Not everybody comes out here to the city building in Central Park. So I think when we think about Christmas decorations, and this is what the committee said at the time we first discussed this, is that they should be on Woodlawn where more Bel Aire residents will see them, you know? That's the important thing for our residents, to see that Christmas spirit or the season, you know, to celebrate the season. And so I think Betty is right on about that. That's where we need to emphasize what we do when we have limited funds, you know. We should put it where the most people, more of our citizens will actually see and enjoy it.
Okay. So after capital outlay, about a little over $250,000 left. With the amount remaining, this is where we usually schedule transfers to either street fund, equipment reserve, capital improvement reserve program. We just kind of threw some recommendations out there. You guys can do whatever you want with this, of course. $150,000 in the street fund. I think we're doing a good thing this year and getting a plan together, and I think it's important to fund a plan. In that same spirit, we're going to take a relook at all our equipment reserve and CIP and get a plan together. And I think it's very good to at least throw some money at the plan, and that's where I get $50,000. So to sum it all up, for the general fund is we have our savings account in place, and now we're just trying to keep within our revenues as an operating budget. And that if we do something like that, we end up with doing that goal. So it's kind of a neat little progression, as you can see. But
Thank you. I love it. That's great.
one other additional consideration I had, and I just want to bring it up tonight, is our solid waste utility we established in 2016. We really don't have any other expenses other than pay for the trash service and recycle service and collect trash revenues. The reason it's starting to build up a little bit of a fund balance, I imagine it'll be about $180,000 by the end of 2017. A lot of cities will say trash trucks damage streets. We need to help repair those streets, so we'll send some money to the street fund. So this is one other thing. We could probably operate with $800,000 reserves for 2018 and transfer $100,000 to the streets if you would like. What's that?
That's a great idea.
80,000. I'm sorry. Yeah, and transfer 100,000 there. And that's really a user pay, user charge, because if you carry trash, you tear up the streets more than someone else would.
Yeah, that's,
So what is the total that we're putting towards streets?
On the last page, it has 250,000 with staff recommendation.
If we put 100. We hope for a little more on that, but look at all this. It's more we did this year.
Yeah, and that's
And plus we have the $100,000 from 2 years ago, right?
the street fund we'll take a look at in depth. I included it in your packet. The real issue with the street funds is the revenues can't keep up. We have to maintain these, and it might be something we shift some expense somewhere, but maintaining light poles is $65,000. You know, it's just a few of these numbers pop up in my head, and it's just really hard to.
It's so hard
do a
for
lot.
people to think, because I think, my household budget versus, a city municipal budget are two totally different animals.
Totally different, yeah.
I would never think $65,000 for light pole repair,
And
it's one
then,
of those not fun things.
and then the revenues from that are from motor fuel taxes. Well, everybody's getting more efficient cars, electric cars, the ones that
We've
are
got
electric and, so,
It's Ramona's
they
fault.
get 50 miles to the gallon and they're buying less fuel. So that's less tax.
Gas
So
tax
there's not a huge-
hasn't changed since 1994.
Yeah, so there's not a lot, that revenue's not
Not
growing
that-
like our.
I will tell you, since I was just in San Francisco, it went up to 63 cents a gallon in the state of California for gasoline tax.
Oh, the gasoline
Yeah.
tax?
Yeah, it was a 63-cent increase. It was, just,
I don't know what Oklahoma's is, but that weekend I went down to Grand Lake. Gas was $1.89, $1.90,
Huh.
They're always cheaper than we are.
They just take it straight from the well.
I paid $1.99 right outside Springfield. But you have to remember, when you look at our state and Oklahoma and Missouri, Missouri has what, 4 times the people we have, and Oklahoma at least double. I mean, Oklahoma City almost has as many people as we have in our entire state. So it's not apples to apples. When you talk to people about your taxes, you're spreading out over this huge state, so few of people.
And fewer all the time.
Yeah, we're going.
They're moving to Oklahoma.
Well, I'm just saying, they have a lot more people that live there. Look at how many reps you have, and you'll know.
So that's kind of my overview, 30,000-foot view for the night. I
You
think it's a
did
good
great
starter.
job.
Well, thank you. It's just a different way of looking at it, and it kind of clears you up a little bit. So
Very good.
it was a good process for me to go through too.
really.
So, and then, you've got
Yeah,
line
yeah,
items
do
for
it.
everybody, so you can take these home.
I can
This,
pass it.
again, this was just what we put together after visiting with staff. So you can take these home, review them, look where the actual line items, where everything's going. And then when we meet again at our next workshop, then we can actually, you'll see where these 30,000 figure numbers are coming from, what's creating all those. And, if citizens want to see that, they're more than welcome to come and get a copy of it as well. But we just wanted to, Ted wanted to just kind of give a basic overview of, you start out with this, you start taking the things out, this is what's left. And so citizens home maybe have a little understanding of how we get to where we get on our budgets.
And the way I kind of did it, and if you can see there's a little bit of legend. On each category, I color-coded, so if you see it, red, it went down year over year, green went up a little, and then yellow has stayed the same. So that'll hopefully help you identify a few areas if you want to ask questions or anything. Another thing, in hindsight, maybe the next one, and if you notice, I also did put at the bottom, it says first draft 2018 budget 9/5/9/2017. Next workshop we'll work off this one. I'll collect your guys' recommendations, make the changes, print a new one. It'll have a new date, new everything under here, so we're all working off the same page. Also, probably next time I'll probably give you a little more room on the side to make notes, but I wanted you guys to see from 2013 all the way to 2018 so you can see the progressions. And printing these things is a little daunting in Excel, but not too bad.
I'm glad it's you.
Yeah.
Well, Ted, I just want to say, on behalf of the council, thank you. I mean, here we are a month ahead of time.
Very good.
To have all this.
Now
this
we
is
have
great.
plenty of good reading.
Yes, between the surveys and the budget. And if, I'm sure Ted wouldn't mind if any of you have any questions between now and the next workshop. You want some clarifications, come in, call him, email him, and he can help answer some questions for you if you have any.
And I did, and I'll mention it because it's way too hard, but I did run a 5-year forecast of all our revenue expenses. I tried to print it off for Ty one time, and it didn't look very good, but it's pretty interesting. But the main takeaway is that the city will stay solvent for the next 5 years. So. Unless something happens bad, but it's a big problem when you run that and you say, uh-oh. So that's.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
Yes, thank you. Good job.
No problem.
Okay, the next we had financial policies. You want to stay for this?
Yeah,
one?
I'll stay for this one.
We were talking about expense limits for department heads and city manager and what goes to council. And so what I did was I pulled up, because we don't have anything in writing, and so I pulled up what our comprehensive policy is that was adopted in 2014. And I think if council wants to put something in writing, certain figures, I looked at section B under expenditure accountability, where 1A says department directors, and that's on page 8. Department directors will have primary responsibility for ensuring that expenditures adhere to appropriations of the adopted budget, may spend up to whatever amount within their authority, and then the finance director and city manager talks about how we might manage that, and you could put in there that the finance director could assume, or the city manager could approve up to a certain amount, and then after that amount, then it automatically goes to council. So.
This isn't coming up on my.
Yeah, I don't have it.
Yeah.
Either.
Well, I'd like to have it in writing and each department head spending, and I'm comfortable with leaving the department heads with 5,000, and I think where I read it, yours was 10. Do you need more than that?
No, we're fine.
But you do have like on a weekend, if we have a water break or something, you can above the 10,000?
Yeah, and what we could do, just to ensure that, is we could put in there that in cases of emergency, such as water breaks or something.
I like that idea.
Can go a little bit more. Yeah. And, and the positive thing, because Ted and I were just talking about this today, you know, it's important that the council has some authority, so, you know, there's a limit that we can spend up to. And so council is always involved in the larger, like a vehicle or something, you know, you really don't want staff being able to go prove a vehicle. So you want council to have that. But at the same time, you don't want to get it too low where if, you know, a generator goes out and it's 6,000 to replace, and that's our backup for our sewers, that might be an emergency. But something like that, then, and we just had council meeting the night before, we'd have to wait 2 weeks before.
Sometimes even 3 weeks, yeah.
Could be, depending on the month, so.
Yeah, but if it was like that amount of money and it was the sewer backup, you could still
Yeah.
go ahead and okay it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So, yeah, I'm very, you know, I'm comfortable with,
I think CCUA's 20,000, isn't it?
Per Randall, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because a lot of those contracts.
Look what
need
he's
to-
serving, and it's all crumbling and breaking down.
No, I'm saying, I think we should maybe just go up to that, and that way we wouldn't have to worry about an emergency.
You mean for a city manager?
Just for him. Yeah, not for department heads. I can't even.
Well, I'd be willing to go 15, but not 20,
Let's do 15 then.
because he always tells us anyway.
Right.
I say, the appropriations
I
ordinance,
mean,
when we see every penny that.
and there are things that even, you've probably seen, like mowers. They run 6,000 to 8,000 or something, and we'll still bring them to you, because I think
Right.
that's a capital expense,
I
and you
agree.
should have, you know.
Right, it would
appreciate
just
that.
be rare if you
So-
didn't bring it to us.
Yeah, and so, you know, a lot of those capital expenses, even though it may be under my authority, I still want to bring it to you, just so you have input
Right.
on selecting what mower or tractor works the best and that kind of stuff.
But we could just do an amendment to what we already have, right?
Yep, we just revise it.
I wondered why we didn't put it in writing
I
in
know,
the first place.
because I looked right there, and I thought, well, that'd be,
We've always just kind of gone by it.
yeah. it's just
Well,
right
I
there.
know, but
Yeah,
things
but
are
you
better
can
in
get
writing.
Yes,
trouble.
they are.
Ty asked me to do a little research on this, and I think 3 of the 4 cities I asked then just had a rule of thumb. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, and that we need it. I think we need it in wrining.
So now you got 3 other cities going, we should get ours in writing.
Well, see, we're the leaders. We're gonna do things right.
Guys who want to ask something.
Yeah, I don't, the city manager said $10,000 was fine with him. He hasn't had any problems with it in the past. I don't see any particular advantage in giving him 10, 15, 20, or 30,000. If there's a need for that, then I'd like to hear what the need would be, and I'd be in favor of that. But if things are going along well, and he has the authority to act differently in an emergency situation, then I would say just leave it the same, put it in writing, that I have no difficulty with that, and let it go. And if as time passes, $10,000 becomes not enough for a general fee, then raise the city manager's ability to make payments. But if the city manager says it's okay right now, I don't see any need to increase it. That's my thought.
Yeah, I'm fine. I do like the ability to put in there in case of emergency.
In case
of
That's-
emergency,
yes.
I think we're all in agreement
That's
with
key.
that.
Yeah,
That's-
need to
that's
word it
great.
then to say
Yeah, I'll word something in there.
that you can go over that amount if there's emergency.
Yeah, that would be very helpful.
I'm not putting words in your mouth now, and I'm
Well,
not limiting you.
I think he was being,
Am I?
Oh, no.
By making a
It's
statement.
10's been fine. And like I said, even in situations where I can, like a mower, I could approve it, but I just prefer to have council review and make sure that it's appropriate, so that it doesn't look like I'm choosing a certain mower.
I appreciate that
because
personally.
I got a free hat or something out there.
John Deere hat.
John Deere hat, that's why I got
Or a
John Deere
nice
mower, so.
I like what guys say, if it ain't
Yeah.
broke, don't fix it.
Well, and it also lets our residents know what we're spending and how we're spending it too.
Yep, and you have an input in
Yeah.
there, so. Okay, I'll make those changes then. Bring that to you as a revision. And then the last thing I had was fireworks, and Ramona had brought this up, and I sent this out on an email. This was a change that took place this year. And so the Fireworks Act is KSA 31-501. It was changed so that the fire marshal takes administration rules and establishes the retail fireworks beginning June 27th and ending on July 5th. And of course, cities can make it more stringent than that, which I think that's about the same that we have it. So it's 5 or 7 days before.
Several,
days.
yeah, several only have, July only.
Yeah, and we can, you could do that as well.
1 through 5.
But what the change was that that the selling of fireworks had always been through a licensed and approved stand. So in other words, in Bel Aire, we approve 4, and so those 4 get a license from the city and they can sell. Well, now it says that people can also go door to door and sell fireworks, but they cannot deliver the fireworks. They have to get take the order, and then the customer would have to go pick it up at a stand. So that's a change. We want to make sure that if there's anybody looking at doing that kind of door-to-door fireworks, that our citizens understand that they have to pick it up from a licensed stand.
Like ordering your groceries online at
Yeah.
Youngland's. Nobody wants to go stand in line anymore.
But I don't think it's fair to the people that we've sold permits to, because if they have, say, maybe a friend and says, well, I want to go sell these door to door, and then is there a designated stand that they have to pick them up at?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they
Yes.
have to.
So those people get that.
That's where the hole is in this whole thing, because we were talking about it at work too. The fireworks wholesalers buy their fireworks. Most of them take a trip to Taiwan or China
Right.
or wherever
That'd
right
be
after
great.
they get done, September about, and go buy their fireworks at that point in time. And it comes over here on a boat and, all kinds of things, and then it's shipped into here by rail. And this says because, they have to order those from that retailer, okay, and they have to pay for them before they can go sell them.
Yeah, and it's really gonna be hard, you guys, because you're gonna have to get somebody, like, okay, say you take the Sunrise stand, you're gonna have to get somebody who would partner with them to go door to door and sell them, and then they would have to pick them up there. So your stands are still going to get the money.
Yes.
It's not going to hurt the stands at all. It's who's the middleman. They're trying to have the middleman that says to the Girl Scouts, go sell them, or they won't, they sell their cookies. But let's say a 4-Hers, whoever. And really, I know where this is coming from, because I know some legislators that, but it's not going to hurt the stands, because.
No, it doesn't hurt the stands at all.
It doesn't. It's going to be that middle person who gets that club to try to go do it.
And the only,
And I can't
the only
imagine.
way it can hurt the stands is if they don't understand that they have to, prepay for that
Right.
stuff up front. And or they think they're gonna sell so much,
Who's
that,
going to go door to door
I
doing
know.
that?
I
Okay,
guess,
we
Yeah.
have permits
It-
that if
remember-
they go door to door,
yeah, they.
selling
have to go
something,
get a
they have to
permit.
go get a
They have to have the
permit.
city hall and get
And
it.
get
Yeah.
a permit,
Yeah.
I think it's $25 and then
Yeah.
$5 a person, or
And I
something
don't,
like
I
that.
think there's a lot of people that don't bother to do that.
Well, that's true, because anybody that comes to my door, I say, do you have a permit? And then, and boy, they're off the front porch in a hurry.
There are 2 points I want to make, and that is if a person did go door to door, some people are not going to do that without compensation. That compensation would come from the people that run the stands, so the stands could get hurt on that. That's number one. Number two, this is where we need a city attorney, because I would like to see an ordinance in the city of Bel Aire that prevents people from going door to door, if it's possible to contravene the state. And I don't know because I'm not an attorney.
Yeah.
But they're the 2 points that I'd like to
I
have
don't think you
clarification
can.
on.
The
Well,
way that
and-
read.
The way it's read to me, when you first sent that out to us, it said that any, in the last paragraph, I believe, that any local ordinances or whatever prohibitions would be honored.
I sort of remember
And
that.
I think if we don't have anything on the books right now, we should get something on there very quickly, because I agree with Guy. I think this would be a terrible thing. I know that the people that live in my neighborhood don't want any more solicitors of any kind. And, you know, I think that we have enough fireworks stands. We've got a limit on that in our city. And people know there's plenty of opportunity to buy fireworks here in Bel Aire. And I don't think our citizens should be hassled by all kinds of people selling door to door.
I can't imagine up here, this really was for the Kansas City area. I really can't imagine anybody in Bel Aire that's going to do this.
The only way I can see this working here is if, say, the Lions Club, exactly what Guy
Right,
said.
send people
Does the
out.
Lions Club want to hire kids to go knock on every door and say, here's your order form, come pick them
And
up
the
at the Lions
answer is
stand? And
no.
I just don't see it
Yeah,
being
but I
beneficial
think,
to
it's
them.
not
I
a
think we
good
need,
I think we ought to
business
have an
plan.
ordinance that says prevent it,
I
because this
think we
city's not
need it in writing.
diminishing, it's increasing. And in the
Again.
future, something like this might have much more importance than it has right now.
What I did was, I contacted the staff attorney at the league and asked them the same question: was there something, an ordinance or something that the council could do if they didn't want to allow this or whatever? And so she wrote me back. She said that she's honestly not sure whether a city could ban these types of sales with an ordinance. And she said technically the state fire marshal is interpreting the statute, which is a uniform statute. So if it's uniform, you can't change it. You can't do a charter ordinance. Now, if it's not uniform, you can. Personally, she thinks that his interpretation of the word sell is a stretch. So she's not really agreeing with, which was in this, that was in the policy statement from the state fire marshal that was in there. She said that if the city decided that it believes the fire marshal is using incorrect interpretation, decide to enforce it differently, you might be setting yourself up for litigation. But she says the city can typically make an ordinance that is stricter than the state statute. However, in this case, it's really the interpretation of the statute that the city's disagreeing with. So she's not sure how an ordinance.
Let's talk to our attorney and get this
So the last sentence, it says, it's definitely something you should have your city attorney look and review carefully. So that's on the list
That's
for.
number one
Jackie,
job.
yes,
Because we're getting close to it.
Well, and I talked to our largest wholesaler, they have about 70 fireworks stands, okay? And they use nonprofits, like Lions
Yes.
Clubs and, parochial schools and things like that, get the money, off of theirs. And she just was laughing about it because they're all over Kansas, and there's different laws all over Kansas even, and then you've got burn bans and what have you.
Well, even look right here,
Yeah.
Sedgwick and Butler County with the lanterns.
Yeah.
Just.
And Reno
And Reno County, yeah.
has a different one yet. So all of those, you can be rained out, and then you can have a burn ban. Couple 3 years ago, the people in western Kansas and Hayes, they bought all their fireworks and stuff from the wholesalers. They rented their tents. I mean, it's
expensive.
it's expensive to set it up.
Thousands of dollars.
And, it was like 2 days before they were getting ready to open. Burn ban.
And see, that's just another dimension. If people had already bought these from some door-to-door salesperson, charity or otherwise, then if something happens, you have to cancel the event, then that just makes everything more complicated.
And they sit in my garage like my bottle rockets I've had of Tyler's for 5 years that he bought in Missouri.
And
You
who
can't-
wants that in their
Yeah.
garage?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I
still
got
some
them,
left.
I got them, yeah, that's what they'll do. Yeah, I can't imagine though that anybody's gonna go jump on this. I don't have
Yeah, I
anybody that
think
wants to go
I
walk
really
door to
think-
door.
You know, our
Who
thought
wants to do
process
that?
was that it's gonna be a
Dogs
flop.
and,
Not much is gonna happen.
Everything
Nothing
else.
goes
Well, that may
up
be,
like
but
that.
just to be sure.
I still
and
think we
again,
need to be protected from it if we can.
Yeah, I think we need to have something in writing.
Yeah, I'll have her look into it.
Be ready just in case.
Yeah.
That'll be our first thing.
Yeah.
all right.
And I just had a quick announcement, if anybody else has anything else they want to bring up. Quick, just, this has come together, this is actually very exciting, and I can't wait to come back and tell you guys all about it. It's come together fairly recently, working, as you know, we worked with Marlon Penner and John T. Arnold. And you guys also know we've been kind of making a push that we really want to get some retail. We want to get, you heard about the tax, the dollars for that. So they're going and recommended that I go with them to, you're gonna have to read this, it's the ICSC Recon. It's the biggest commercial real estate event with over 37,000 industry professionals attend every year, where we can learn from experts and leaders, network, but it's great to meet future business partners, gather new ideas, learn new trends that will lead to commercial real estate industry. So John T. Arnold Group is going and sending a group, and so I'm going to, was able to work out my work to go with them for the 3 days, and I'm going to attach myself to their hip like there's nobody else's business, because yeah, 37,000 people, but yeah, and then, so they're putting together a schedule and people that they want me to meet to say hi for Bel Aire, and just kind of a very, just kind of an introduction, but said said I'm going to be in the city area gaining knowledge from other city representatives / land developers, and I should bring my camera because I'm also taking pictures of new design trends that we don't see here around, and says the event is huge and can be very overwhelming. However, we will have a plan and will be very strategic in order to maximize our time there. Hope to come back with lots of inspiration and tons of new contacts.
What
So,
city?
it's in Las Vegas
Okay.
with 37,000 people.
When are you
So,
going?
it's next.
Not a council meeting.
No. It's a Saturday, Sunday, Monday conference, so I leave is it 19th or 20th?
That's a Friday tonight.
Yeah, so with that, and going, like I said, I'm gonna be, the only thing is I opted for a different hotel than they're staying at, because the Treasure Island is owned by Wichiton and is a lot cheaper than where they're staying, so.
That's cool.
How far away? Would that create difficulties in getting together with?
No,
Probably
they've
right
got.
across the street,
Yeah.
is my guess.
Yeah, they've got shuttles all over. I think there were, it was over 2 dozen hotels you could choose from,
Good.
so.
Well,
My
get us some
difference.
businesses.
Las
Yeah.
Well,
Vegas
you'll
knows how
have
to
to
do
tell
that.
Ruffin hello.
Yeah. I'll go knock on this door.
Sure. Say, hey, you know that old lady Betty Martine? She said, hello.
Okay, so anyway,
And he'll
yeah,
say
just
yes.
wanted you guys to know, and like I said, you'll see that on, with the hotel, because the appropriations ordinance, I was able to get the advance rate and everything, so.
Very good.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm
We're excited
excited,
for you.
so. Anything else?
We ready to adjourn?
Let's do it. All right, guys.
Let's go.
Great work, Chuck, everybody, and Betty, thanks for filling in again, and I
Happy
watched the
Mother's
meeting.
Day Sunday to you guys.
Absolutely, yeah, I like the idea of everybody reading a different proclamation, that was kind of cool.
Well, thank you, man.
I thought
Thank
that was
you.
kind of cool.
Yeah, that was a good
That was
idea.
Betty's
I thought
idea.
I'd share. I didn't want to read.
They were long.
Yeah.